Muamode share and modofo snowy, Matana say. And some would draw a coso, a way, my gun, and no enemy, it was a for in the past, Udi Dimechi, na Yonkotie and Semibi and Bra.
Has dismissed the Akufo-Addo government's long-standing claim that Ghana's 2022 economic collapse was driven by the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war. In its latest policy report, the bank states that the crisis stemmed from deep-rooted structural weaknesses, fiscal indiscipline and mismanagement, with global shocks merely exposing an already fragile economy. Well, these details have been put up in graphics. We'll bring you that later on. But let's also, okay, that is showing on your screen right now. We'll just go through a few of them. And it says that the deterioration of global conditions due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russian Federation invasion of Ukraine was not the cause of the 2022 macroeconomic crisis. Next slide. Right, so we'll do that later, but we have on the line the former Deputy Finance Minister, Dr. Stephen Amoah, on this. Dr. Amoah, we're grateful, and this is what the World Bank is saying now. What's your initial reaction? Let me get that first. Kindly unmute and speak to us.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. My regards to our listeners this very morning. Honestly, I would like to have the entire document and then read it and understand the context being posted out there, because I'll be surprised for two reasons. One, the World Bank, before this report, we had a report there. I need to look for it. I mean, I'm not even home now. That stated clearly that the causes, they never said, and nobody has ever said, what we went through 2022 is solely 100% the COVID. Nobody said that. But the severity and the challenges we went through, nobody on this earth, unless the person, in my opinion, is just displaying ego trips or unconscious incompetence. Because the same World Bank report stated that was one of the major crises we all in this country. Aside that, what were these economic indicators, these primary macro indicators or performances in the other countries, even in the developed economies? That year, the world economy grew negative 3.3. Inflation rate globally jumped into 100. They're all there, and we depend on these economies. I'm sure the document might have said, apart from that, we have structural weaknesses and issues as a country, and that one is a fact. It's not just one routine. When it comes to economic resilience, most developing economies, including Ghana, fundamentally we have challenges because we depend on the economy. We are basically import-driven economy. So these things are there. We talk about an ineffective way sometimes we manage our expenses as a country. These are issues that occur. I mean, it doesn't matter who is in government, the facts are there. So if the first 3 years of Akufo-Addo's government were growing to 7%, one of the best in the world, inflation rate averagely has stayed about 7%, one of the best in the world. And then we have even picked, GDP growth in the year 2000 about, I think it was 3.4%. And we're rolling out one of the most enviable pro-poor policies sustainably in our country. Who could have thought that after the first term of Akufo-Addo's government, where there was market productivity impairment, people were even asked to stay home, they were paid. We're in this country. Private sector sank over 40,000. We have revenue shortfall of about between 11 and 12 billion. The world itself knew how we're suffering. Things were being brought from outside that were costing us $4,000, moved to $4,000. I used to import things for my pharmacy in this country. Some of the items that were costing me 1999 pounds before God we serve, where some of them were costing me 29.99, 10 pounds different. Conversion would have been that time around 200 Ghana cedis. So they can say whatever if that is true. I think it's been taken out of context. Because the World Bank, I used to be in a number of series of meetings with the same World Bank. I'll be surprised. I know most of their leaders, for them to say, but if they say that Maybe our structures were weak, yes. We have issues as a country, yes. We all accept. And I've been saying this almost 10 years now, not because I'm in opposition. That as a country, remember, I use the word our economy has chronic issues. And I actually I did this liking to something in this country that I had to write and apologize on your own set. What we are saying is that structurally we have issues as a country, not necessarily a country that we are running.
Well, so Sika, are you saying that the World Bank's report is inaccurate, or they are not reporting inaccurate?
Respectfully, I haven't said that.
I'm asking because that's what they're saying.
No.
Initially.
No, I am saying that I need the entire report because I'm surprised.
Okay.
Because the same World Bank came out, unless your outfit, you've forgotten, that they came out and attributed the severity and the challenges of our economy to the global crisis, which was twofold, i.e. Russia-Ukraine war, and then more profoundly, the COVID. And I'm saying that before the COVID, what was our economic situation? 2022, what was the global economic performance? What was the performance of the global economy? And I've told you that 2022 thereabout, the world was growing negative 3.3. So does it mean that the world's global economic structures were not good? Inflation rate moved averagely into the hundreds. Does it mean that we depend on these economies? So I would be very much surprised for anybody to pick just this extract or present this picture. It means that the World Bank is telling us two stories, which is which? We're in this country, and two, you yourself as an indigenous person in this country, which I trust all of you very well, from the media outreach you have, is one of the reputable stations in Africa. Let me ask you, if you have a country that people were asked to stay home but they were paid for months, and even after that they run shift, 50% will go 2 weeks, another 50% will go 2 weeks for almost 19 months. One private sector sacked about 40,000 people, and then you are saying that COVID wasn't part. Between us and the God we serve, let us all analyze these things. Accept those who do not understand. In any case, before the government,
would you also admit that in that situation you may have made
respectfully? Can I learn with this?
Right.
And respectfully, I want Joy FM to go for the first budget statement that my own brother Dr. Akufo respectfully presented in Parliament, and then go and analyze all the relevant macroeconomic indicators of this country before we left power. GDP was growing over 6%. Primary balance had outperformed 2016. Inflation rate that went to even 54.1 because of the crisis had come down to about 20. Research had been performed even better than 2020. That was last quarter 2024. So please, economy is not just any other thing that people can say anything. There are figures. Then we have the data to support these things. But of course, I think World Bank statement is not what it is now. It's taken out of context, or maybe we need to read the entire thing, and then we need to get the World Bank involved again. And I'll bring what they themselves said in most of our meetings and what they are saying today.
But would you say that within that period, you may have not taken the bull by the horns to take certain decisions such that it couldn't have resulted in this? For instance, the public debt rose from 63% in 2019 to about 93% in 2022. Would you say that is also as a result of the COVID and then the Russia-Ukraine war, and not really policy decisions?
Thank you. Allow me to explain this perfectly. The basis first that has to be established is that Ghana's economy, there was a time I used ritual and people who did not understand that vocabulary in that context were even insulting me. I wanted to say characteristically, we are running what I term negative effective tax rate economy, whether COVID or no COVID. What it means is that whether NDC or NPP government, the monies we outlay, we expend every year, if we divide the amount by the houses we have, households in Ghana, and each house gets 10,000 Ghana cedis. The amount we generate the same year, excluding loans, if we divide, it will be like 5 cedis. So already we are running ritual deficit as a country, which is very bad. That basically is there one. Two, the COVID came up, and when it came up, we ran short of negative we run short of revenue generation about 12 billion Ghana cedis. This is a fact. And even private sector sacked over 40,000 people. Corporate taxes, everything went down. Everywhere in the world, two main ways the government gets money: either loans, debt financing, or revenue generation domestically. So when the domestic market, as much as the world market, went so bad, we're not getting raising revenue domestically. We only have to rely on debt financing. Already we're borrowing, and then because GDP was not growing and it wasn't our fault, we grew 0.4 that year, if you remember, and the world grew -3. But we're spending using debt financing. Your debt to GDP will go up. So it's not like it was a palatable situation, but it wasn't something you could have blamed the government. That's what we are saying.
Could you have made other decisions? I mean, other prudent decisions to avoid this debt going up?
Let me tell you. You know that we have war times and we have peace time. When we're dying and Ghanaians were putting pressure on the government to bring me, I'm not a clinical person, and we're making a lot of decisions out of, I would say, in my opinion, we couldn't have sat down to go through decision-making processes. All that we wanted to do was to prevent fatalities, and Ghana was actually said to have been one of the best countries that our fatalities were not that much. My condolence to people that we lost. That one is like we were dying, convulsion. What did we have to do? So some of the decisions might not even go or okay, well, yes, I agree. But that situation wasn't the time that we could have gone through a lot of alternatives and made the right decision. People were dying. Now everybody has forgotten the fact that Akufo-Addo's government made it possible for us as a country exclusively to reduce our fatalities. Number of people died, and now we are going back to say that we made this decision, we made that decision. Fine, no problem. But it's a lesson to all of us. But what I can say is that before we left power, go and take where we left the economy. I beg you, it's very important. Let's go and take Akufo-Addo's own budget statement and compare the economy at that time to the economy we even inherited 2016 when that situation wasn't there. So that period that came had a strong correlation with the COVID. Of course, as a country, it doesn't mean the government will never made any mistake. It doesn't mean that structurally, fundamental, our economy has a lot of issues. One day, I want to sit down with you for almost 1 hour. You understand me? A country that government can borrow on a domestic market, whether NDC at a higher rate than the private sector. We have so many things that we need to work on as a country. Yet I agree. The way we spend our priorities, we are not getting enough taxes. If NPP, they are in government, they are bringing taxes, NDC and Ghanaians will say no. When NDC guys are bringing taxes, Ghanaians and NPP will say no. I think this is the time that all of us, or it is time we all came together and said that enough of NPP, NDC political positions and statements. These are common issues. How best can we, nationally or nationalistically, handle these situations and wean ourselves from this whole economic whatever dependence, and we are always being tossed here and there? No, we need to be economically independent. We need to build the needed resilience as a country. Other than that, we always go to IMF and the World Bank, and some of these statements will be made good when man is in power. They will be made bad when they are in opposition, and then Ghanaians will click on that. But what I'm saying is that COVID-Russian war practically had a very tremendous amount of impact adversely on our economy. And domestically, there's evidence. Globally, there's evidence. Was it only Ghana in the world that suffered? No. So what are they talking about?
No. All right, Dr. Stogadama.
Please, I want the IMF to tell us 2022 what was the economic global situation.
But we're dealing with our own country, and we are suffering for it now, aren't we? But thank you very much for your time on our
desk. But other countries are suffering.
We're grateful, Dr. Amoah, for that. And like you said, at an appropriate forum, we'll have a lengthy discussion on this.
You're able to for in seminal and I'll put comments and comment section. I'm in Jibre and Kinka Emma. Aha, Ghanatube so. And I'm more for snowy and I'm saying, in seminal and I was for Sadia Macron.